calling the meeting to order. Would you please rise with me to say the pledge? Stay standing afterwards for our invocation. I pledge the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hold on just a sec here. Give that a try.
Check. Okay, here we go. All right. Father God, we give you praise and honor for who you are and your presence among us. We are grateful for your love and mercy for all, your mercy which allows us to invite you here. We ask for your Holy Spirit to guide us in our deliberations so that your will can be done here on earth as in heaven. We pray for your continued goodness for the provisions of this city. We ask that you have mercy on our failings against your standards as we humbly serve this community. Lead us in the truth of your wisdom. Hold us in your goodness. And Father God, we ask that you provide wellness and safety to the men and women who serve and protect this city, this county, the state, and the nation, both here and abroad. We ask these things in the name of Jesus Christ and for his glory. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilmember Neese. Will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Shaw, Nicholson,
Here.
Neese,
Present.
Pittman,
Here.
Aguirre,
Here.
Kennedy,
Here.
Aspenleiter, Lindley,
Here.
Boyette, O'Donnell,
Here.
Mayor Nelson.
Present. Thank you. Minutes of February 9th, 2026. Any changes, comments, or could I have a motion to approve? Councilmember Shaw.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve the minutes from February 9th, 2026.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Boyette. Any discussion or changes regarding the minutes? All in favor of accepting the minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Council courtesies, do we have any? Councilmember Aguirre.
Yes, I want to take a moment to invite Shay Reiser and company to the podium to present on the Human Relations Commission.
Good evening. Okay. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you tonight. My name is Susan Jurovich. I'm the current chair of the Human Relations Commission. I am accompanied by two of my fellow commissioners, Shay Reiser and Carissa Welsh, and Danny Tricky, who is a longtime volunteer on the commission. The Human Relations Commission exists to promote mutual understanding and respect among all, as well as be a voice to counsel on behalf of community members that have been targeted by discrimination, harassment, or hate. One of our goals to fulfill this mission is to promote positive community engagement. We would like to tell you of two specific events in the next few months that we hope will work toward that goal. First, we will be promoting and soliciting nominations for the City of Billings Social Impact Award. This award was developed last year as a way to celebrate an individual, group, or organization that has made or continues to make a significant positive contribution to our community by promoting mutual understanding and respect among all in the City of Billings. We hope to highlight members of our community that are making a positive impact for equality and inclusion in the City of Billings. Our upcoming nomination period is March 1st through March 31st. Nominations can be submitted online during this period. The Human Relations Commission will then select a recipient, and that individual or group will be presented with the award sometime in May of this year. Our hope is that with each year, awareness and excitement will grow for an award of this kind, an award to celebrate the positive acts in our great city of Billings that promotes equality and respect for all. We would very much appreciate your support and assistance in spreading the word about this award and encouraging city residents to participate. Second, we are sponsoring a community forum on the principle of the Dignity Index, and we have a handout this evening that I believe Danny passed out. The Dignity Index is a communication approach and tool designed to ease divisions, prevent violence, and solve problems when there's disagreement or discord. On Wednesday, March 25th at 5 p.m. at the Billings Public Library, Danny Chiriki, Billings resident and past city council member, will host a presentation on the Dignity Index. We hope this will provide an opportunity for community members to come together, to learn, listen, and collaborate on how grassroots efforts of principles such as the Dignity Index can foster and support a welcoming and open culture in the city of Billings, to allow all to feel welcome and respected. We are very excited about this opportunity and appreciate Mr. Chiriki's willingness to bring this to the community. The Human Relations Commission hopes to sponsor more forums such as this in future months. Again, we appreciate the time to come before you this evening and would like to extend an open invitation to our monthly meetings. They are the first Wednesday of each month at 3 p.m. in the Rimrock Meeting Room here at City Hall. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice job, you guys. Any other council courtesies? All righty, there are no mayoral proclamations. Any council reports? Commissioner Kennedy? Commissioner, sorry. I'm gonna have that forever.
I know. Thank you, Mayor. The Legislative Committee met last Thursday. We met with our lobbyists. We've decided we will send out a survey to all the council members, and that should come out this week. So by next week, if we could get a response back on what you feel is a priority for the upcoming legislative session. We'll be inviting local legislators to come to each of our meetings and see what legislation that they're going forward with, and to be able to look and see where we're at. And then we'll also be surveying department heads to make sure that we're ready for the next legislative session. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Any other council reports? All right. The administrator report. Mr. Kukulski.
Mayor and council, so just a few things. First, no ex parte communication came in late this afternoon. And then my next two are really things to look at your calendar. You don't need to get back to me right now, but it would be helpful if you do here in the near future, tonight or tomorrow. One is special meetings. So last week, when we talked about the 2045 plan and the critical nature of that process and being, really focused on that, we talked about some noon meetings. So we do have one locked in. It appears for March 12th. So we'll get that advertised and thing. But the one we need you to take a look at, we didn't get much feedback on whether March 16 at noon or 17 at 9 a.m., which one of those is a better time for you guys. So if you could get back to the clerk and I there, that would be helpful. And then just to let you know, we're going to hit a few of the initiatives that council has done the last month or so, 6 weeks. At our next week's work session, we'll talk about the Technology Advisory Committee. We'll talk about the Committee on Committees, if you will, and then possible changes. Possibly talk about possible changes of council meeting dates. That's a discussion Councilmember Pittman has followed up on. So that's all I have for the report on my end. Happy to answer any questions if you've got them. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. All right, that moves us to public comment on non-public hearing agenda items. So that's number one only. If you have something to say regarding item number one, the consent agenda, this would be the time for it. If anybody wants to speak, make sure you sign up in the back. You'll have 3 minutes to speak your mind. For items not on this agenda, public comment will be taken at the end of the agenda. Is there any public comment regarding item number one? Any public comment regarding item number one? All right, so that moves us on to the consent agenda. Are there any separations?
I need to recuse myself from H.
Okay. Any other separations? So I'd entertain a motion regarding the consent agenda. Councilperson Shaw?
Thank you. I move to approve the consent agenda minus item number H, which was removed for
Second.
We have a second. Is there any comments or discussion regarding Councilmember Lindley?
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I had a couple of comments about item D, the annual renewal for the Mimecast protection for the city. Many people probably don't understand what that is, but Mimecast is a security tool used by the city for email security primarily. I wanted to comment that I had a few questions about this. I spoke with Jeff Sprock, the IT director, over the past few days, and I was really impressed with the thoroughness that the team took in looking at that solution versus others. For those who may not know, that solution is considered in the top 2 or 3 available solutions, so it's definitely highly rated. But yeah, I really appreciated the thoroughness that the team had, and I look forward to them keeping us secure.
Thank you. Any other council member needs?
Thank you, Mayor. If you don't mind, I'd like to have the chief come forward and just talk about the item C, which is agreements with the SROs for the schools, and just to expound as far as how this program is really helping our schools and our public safety in the neighborhoods around the schools. Kind of share that with us. Chief?
Please do.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Thank you, Council Member, for the opportunity. The School Resource Officer Program, or SRO, is probably one of the longest tenured programs that we have here at the Police Department. They had it when I started, and there was 1 or 2 officers at the time. Since that time, it's grown to our current number of 8. It operates with contemporary ideas. They're very creative, and they're very active in really helping out one of our vulnerable populations. Some of the things I'd like to point out to you is what exactly, does an SRO do? A lot of people think it's just the security guard practicing hard looks in the hallway. While there is a little bit of that going on, these are highly trained. They have specialized expertise in a school environment. They provide enhanced safety and rapid response. This is very critical in some of the issues that we're dealing with today. They can respond from the school right there and assess and mitigate problems. That also provides a strong deterrent. Again, officer presence, you've heard me say this before, in a wide variety of situations. Officer presence deters bad behavior, and it's no different at the school setting. I think more important, and when we look at our statistics, the most effective part of the SRO program is the prevention of any type of problematic activity through early intervention, specifically diversion. Our SROs see these kids, they know about the home life, they're able to intervene, get the help, get them where they need to be before they get into trouble. We have found that is the most effective way to break that cycle. We've had this discussion prior when we had our terrible, terrible cycle of violence. Is how do we break that? It starts at the school level, and so they're instrumental with that. They also help the staff with threat assessment and planning to mitigate things. Relationship-based policing is what it is that those officers do. So many people just know the officer driving around in a car. We know that's not the truth. You know how adorable we are, and now the kids get to see that as well, that we're people, got families, got issues, the same as they do, and so those relationships get going. From an operational standpoint, it reduces the burden on our patrol. School District 2, Career Center, and the Catholic schools unto themselves are a community within a community. 13,000, I think the number is. If we didn't have SROs in the building and situations take place, you're calling people off the street to go handle those. So what it does, it frees up our officers. The SROs can take care of those issues. The predictive staffing. We know that we have SROs on duty as opposed to reactionary rushing to a situation. So it helps mitigate those situations. The crisis management we talk about, they coordinate significantly with school administrations, lockdowns, medical emergencies, bad behavior, assaultive behavior. All of those things are coordinated through our SROs. They also provide education and preventative programming. I'll bet you every one of them has a class or two that they teach in whatever the discipline is. And then last, but I think what's really important is that the city and the schools have a recognized shared responsibility for safety, for putting or creating a good environment for our kids, and then which in turn is going to pay dividends down the road. That's really in a nutshell the things that, of course, we pay close attention to. Any gang type stuff, we want to stay on top of graffiti as that pops up, and all those issues that you see and hear about. In general, that's an overview, Your Honor. Questions?
Any questions for the chief?
No, thank you, Chief. I really appreciate you doing that as a short notice to come in, and you did a really good job on that. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Council Member. Mayor?
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Council Member Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the pleasures is to say thank you to people every so often, so I'll start right now. Our library received various donations from Mr. and Mrs. Myers, Ellen Hunt, and the Friends of the Library, up to over $5,000 in donations. Wonderful. Then we received two donations to our youth and senior scholarship fund, one from Shields and one from our elected city councilman, Mark Nicholson, who recused himself from this vote. So thank you very much. And lastly, the Yellowstone County DUI Task Force donated money to the police department for breath testers. This is great. We need more people paying attention to our city and helping us out. And I just wanted to say thank you to those people. Thank you very much.
Council Member Kennedy.
I would just like to make a comment on 1B. All of these people that have put their names in to be appointed to boards or commissions. Next Monday night, Council Member Tony O'Donnell will be presenting, and I'll help him as we present and talk about looking at these commission and boards to see what's needed, the staff time, qualifications, all of the above. Were they ad hoc at one time and now moved into a regular committee? Do we need all of them? And we'll be looking at those next Monday, or talking about that next Monday night. So I just a reminder that as we appoint people right now, in the future, we may see a change in committees and how many we have. We have 28 to 30 of them, which is quite a few. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments regarding the consent agenda? All right, we have a motion to accept all items in the consent agenda except item H, 1H. All those in favor? please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. That carries. Now, could we have a motion to accept item 1H? Councilmember Lindley, second. Second, Councilmember Kennedy. Any discussion regarding that? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Aye.
Okay, that carries unanimously,
Councilmember Nichols recused himself.
except for the recusal of Councilmember Nicholson. Thank you, Mr. Neese. All right, no, he voted aye. It was a delay because he's so far away. We move on to special presentations and annual report.
So Mayor and Council, while Wyeth is getting set up here, which will just take a couple minutes, over the next few meetings, we've got, we're not going to present annual reports across the whole organization, but I thought some key ones, right? Land use, our 2045 plan, all that's going on with land use issues. So I've asked Wyeth to come and briefly highlight some of the highlights of this past year. You'll see in a future meeting, both police chief and fire chief give theirs. So something that it certainly isn't required, but I thought, frankly, when you look at the agenda, it seemed like an appropriate way to spend some of the time this evening. If the council wants us to change that going forward, we can. But those are the three that I've got scheduled for you coming up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just making sure I've got this going here. All right. I think everybody can see that. It looks like it's shared. So good evening. Yeah, I appreciate this opportunity to just give you a little some highlights from our annual report from 2025 for the Planning and Community Services Department. And we've pushed this out. You received this in the City Administrator Weekly on February 6th, and then we've been pushing it out to our boards and commissions on social media and through our department webpage since then, to just share that with the community, since the community has been involved in pretty much everything in one way or another that we've been working on across the department. It's really the way we lay it out, tried to make it really easy to read, lots of visuals, lots of graphics, quick information that you can extract. So hopefully, if you haven't had a chance to look at it, you will, and it should be pretty easy to get through. I can tell you that after the last year, it felt like we'd hitched our wagon to a SpaceX rocket, but one of those rockets that actually made it into orbit as well. Just a lot going on. And I really want to recognize our division manager team here, Tina and Brenda and Anna, who have been working themselves and with our staff to get through all the things and work through all the projects and such we've been doing, as well as really continue to keep our customer service at a high level. One thing I'll note as I just go through a few slides is you'll see the council has your goals and priorities that you have in place and that we look to and follow as we're going through projects and different activities throughout the year. And so you'll see as I talk about things like public safety on the code enforcement side, economic development in some of the areas that planning is involved in, as well as urban renewal, and then also quality of life, which we get into in a variety of areas, including code enforcement, community development, and planning across all the divisions. So I'll, there we go. Just a few of the sort of big picture pieces. We've continued you heard from us last week on Billings 2045 and the neighborhood plans that we're working on. Those have been going last year and continue into 2026. Cleaning up graffiti really at a rate that we have not seen in Billings that ever, I don't think. I would venture to say. We had 91 cases last year. And we also did proactive targeting on public property specifically, with another 30 locations that we focused on. And that was everything from walls of buildings to dumpsters to loading docks, all those types of things. And so really put a lot of emphasis there and worked with city partners, other departments, as well as private property owners on that work across the city. We have this council approved $1 million+ to the Homefront for their project up in the Heights, the Lucy Lofts project, or the LB Lofts project. And then development activity, it's been extremely busy across the city in the last year, planning, reviewing over 1,200 building permits of all types. We actually annexed 91 acres of land into the city. So a lot of things going on in the land development and planning stages there. And then processed a lot of zone change applications, both for the city and the county, as the planning division is both. And then also our planning board reviewed 13 subdivisions that went to the city or to the county. On community development side, we had a couple, just highlighting a couple properties actually. So St. John's, we had acquired this property, this house on St. John's in 2025, in 2024. We did bring it up to code, completely improved it, did a lot of work on that property. And then we were able to get a family of 5 who relocated from Glendive, Montana into that property, helping them with down payment and closing cost assistance, which is one of the programs that you approve and that we execute throughout the year. So that was a great ending to that property story. I can tell you that the neighbors around that property, because it had been sitting there for quite a few years, not in very good shape, we're quite excited to have that. We even had an open house and invited them before we sold it to let people kind of see what had changed and what had happened there. But extremely great project and really helped that whole block and that neighborhood. The other thing that was sort of a side piece of that was something we hadn't tried is we had a team of National Civilian Conservation Corps folks come to Billings. You'll see there's a picture of them here in our report that we brought them to council, but they helped do some landscape work, some xeriscaping work on this property as one of their projects while they were in town, and actually worked with parks and did some other work in the community. And we're actually hoping to see if we can foster that and have that kind of a relationship in the future with the CCC to come back and do something like that. It was really a great time. They were here for several months in the summer to help us. Also, Mitchell Court, that project is basically just about to open and be done. That's down in the South Billings Urban Renewal District off of Jackson. And that was one where the community or the council approved funding through our community development process for $1.2 million in home funds to help this project get developed. And they've got 32 units, affordable housing units that are completed there. And they're actually they received both community development funds and also some urban renewal funds for that project. And so it was and then they had tax credits. They had a whole bunch of resources to put that together, but really exciting. And it really looks great. That property was in terrible condition. It was a constant code enforcement problem for years. And so it's amazing. You go down there and you wouldn't know that now, but if you look at the previous photos, it was a huge transformation. So excited to see that project start to get occupied here literally in the next, potentially in the next couple of months. Switching over to planning, we've talked to you a lot about Billings 2045, so I won't spend a lot of time on that. Just major outreach there, our 1,100 survey responses, our 4,000 unique website visits, and delivering information to 194 businesses around the community as the outreach effort we've been doing and as we continue to do that throughout that process. And then switching over on transportation just a little bit, we are in the final stages of the 21st Street Underpass study. And that was a project that the MPO has partnered with both local department, our city departments, but also MDT and BNSF to work through alternative options for improving that underpass to potentially make it taller and also address issues of storm drainage and access for pedestrians as well as vehicular traffic. We've got 4 alternatives. That's going to be coming to you for information here soon. Councilmember Neese has been great on that project oversight committee for us, and we've had a good team there to develop alternatives. And we actually had a really positive conversation with Burlington Northern Santa Fe just recently about this and got it kind of back clarified for them on the alternatives so they could look and respond to that more so. So that one is moving forward. And then the other thing that we have a variety of things going on in transportation are feasibility studies of different sorts. We've got 3 trail segment feasibility studies that are underway right now that the council approved through our work program last year, and are really looking at how we can develop and how easy or what the potential is to do full trail segment connectivity on the downtown to Heights connector, which goes out by Colson Park from downtown, Alkali Creek Trail connector, which would finish the part that goes under Main Street and comes up by Aronson, and then the last one is the Annandale Road to Aronson connection up in the Heights that was actually Councilmember Neese and other council folks brought up when we were looking at feasibility focus last year, and we've put that on the analysis radar as well. We've also got 3 safe routes to school feasibility studies going on, one near St. Francis Elementary, one at Poly Drive School, and Medicine Crow Middle School. So again, working with engineering hand in hand on that to figure out, those were identified in the safe routes to school plans that you all had already adopted, but looking at exactly what kind of infrastructure improvements we would make in those 3 areas. So those are underway right now based on our current work program in the year we're in. And then the last thing is a household travel survey, which is a statistically valid survey in terms of looking at how the residents of Billings travel around in all modes. We did one in 2017. We're doing an update to that, and that'll be really helpful for everything from our vehicular travel to transit, and will feed into the next round of our update of our long-range transportation plan, which will be doing an update in 2028 is when it's due. So we'll be starting that next year. And then on code enforcement, a lot of work last year, 4,400 cases. That's 12 cases a day for 365 days. And we also did great on our compliance rate, 93%. We achieved that. It's above what we set in the council goals and priorities for compliance. And I can tell you that a lot of that has to do with, that's a lot of stop and talk and shoe leather from the code enforcement officers to talk to people, to work with people, to get them and get their properties into compliance. That is the 100% of like what we start out doing with any property. And that's where you get to those high percentage compliance rates. And then just a few end up going into court and getting more protracted. Our property maintenance cases were the most that we had across all of our types of cases, and that's junk and debris, junk vehicles, not mowing your lawn, improper storage of RVs, boats, and campers. That continues to be a big one. And then right-of-way cases, which is signs or vegetation obstructing the sidewalk, parking violations, branches that are hanging too low over streets and sidewalks, snow removal, and things of that nature. So those are big ones that we have a lot of activity on every year, and last year was no exception. The other thing that was a big finish was the 802 Yellowstone project. We've talked to you a lot about that. Got that knocked down and demolished in September of last year, and that property's cleared. One great fact from that project was, and if you look at some of the pictures, you'll see in the report of the inside of the property, we took 21,000 pounds of metal out of that property to recycle. And most of that was taken out by hand by code enforcement officers before the big diggers got there and started the demo. So amazing work there. We take that money and put it back into the property expenses that we have. So that was crazy in terms of how the volume there, but it was great to just get that out of there. And then finally the neighbors were certainly happy after so many years. So where we're off again here. We're going to keep going. And we have a lot going on in 2026. That rocket analogy from the beginning, it's kind of still going. We're going to be completing the adoption and begin implementation of Billings 2045. continue to support our current planning services across all of the areas that we interface with the public. Our urban renewal, working with the 3 districts to continue to support those activities in those 3 districts. Transportation planning and working with our partners there for the MPO with our redesignation work that we've got to complete there based on the federal highway and MDT audit that we had in 2024. And then we're going to be launching a new round of our VISTA program. You're going to be seeing an application for another VISTA program grant coming to you here, first meeting in March. And that's exciting because we actually weren't sure what was going to happen to the VISTA program for a good part of last year, end of second part of last year. We normally would have recruited in like now and have VISTAs starting now for a year, from like January, February to the following year. We weren't able to do that because the corporation wasn't telling us what was happening and whether we were going to be able to be funded. So they finally said, yes, you are. And we have gotten that. We can now make our application. So we'll be looking at some summer vistas, which is the shorter program, but then we'll be, really powering up in August to start a cycle of year-long vistas starting from August to August. So it'll be a little bit later than normal, but that was just, a factor of just trying to figure out what was happening with the program. So that's really exciting to get more of the vistas here and help with some of the nonprofits around the community. Continuing obviously with our HUD program implementation and work through our consolidated plan. And then we're exploring some even new ways to fight graffiti. Sneak peek, we're looking at some murals and some smart garbage trucks, sort of, to help us target where graffiti is on dumpsters. So continuing to work through that, and that's a big code enforcement, creative work, and also partnering with solid waste in that area. And we're going to be supporting several county initiatives that are coming out for the commissioners on a variety of topics. So that's coming on as well. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions and appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. Wyatt, we used to have, when Nicole was here, we used to have the Dirty Dozen. Do we still have that number of people out there that we need to help, or is that gone away, or that program kind of thing?
So Councilmember Boyette and Mayor and Council, certainly the types of properties that were on that list have not gone away. We continue to work with them. We basically haven't been bringing that to you in that same way, but we've been addressing it and showing you when we do a lot of whether you see our annual abatements where you're doing assessments of property, and then also some of our, which like we have photos in our reports often showing before and after cleanups. Those are some of the properties that would fall into that category. I would say we've seen the compliance continues to improve because now with the way the city has resourced the code enforcement division, people realize that, we're going to come and ask you to get your property cleaned up. Like it's going to happen. And so I think that's helped to encourage that. So not at the same level that you probably saw in the past.
Councilmember Neese.
Thank you, Mayor. Wyeth, Tina, your team, I have to say, when you guys first started going proactive, one of the things I said is, are you going to make sure all the graffiti is gone within the city? And I can tell you there's sections of the city that are no graffiti. And so I really thank you for that. You've done a great job. Your team has done a great job. So if anyone's out there sees graffiti, please report it. They'll make sure it gets cleaned up. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great presentation.
All right.
And a good year too. Congrats.
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right. That leads us to the regular agenda, item number 2, public hearing and resolution. So would you please read the item?
Item number 2, public hearing and resolution setting building, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, and fire system permit fees. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Jessica Fust. I'm the building official. I'm here to present the proposed resolution to update our permit fees. I was here 6 days ago talking about this, so I'll try to make it even more brief tonight. So just a reminder that the last resolution was adopted on June 13th of 2011. And so this is our first time revising fees since then, because our fees are a function of construction valuation. The fees that we have collected have been increasing as construction costs have gone up over the last several years. So that's the main reason we're changing the resolution. We want to be proactive in terms of right-sizing our revenue, our reserves. Right now we're at about a 22-month reserve, and we want it to be closer to 10 to 12 months. So our proposed resolution will do that in terms of reducing our revenues, but then also it's going to do a few additional things like simplifying and streamlining certain permit types. We're separating out the fire system permits into their own category, and we're going to eliminate revision and deferred submittal fees. So looking at our revenues and expenses, this shows the last 6 fiscal years and then the projected of FY26 for how we got here. We had several years where our expenses were much less than our revenues. I did add a line, this is different from last week's presentation in terms of just putting that difference for each fiscal year so you can see how much we were then putting into reserves each year as we built up those reserves. And like I mentioned last week, coming into FY20, we already had about a 1-year reserve. So this put us at about that 22-month mark overall. So our proposed resolution reduces permit fees about 23 to 31%. The mechanical fees are simplified and streamlined. Fire system fees are reduced to flat fees based on valuation. Our commercial plan review is being reduced from 65% of the permit cost to 60%. We're continuing with no residential plan review, and then no resubmittal, revision, or deferred submittal fees. And our hourly rate, we increased from $45 to $75. So an example of a couple projects and what their new permit fees would be if this resolution is adopted. On a $350,000 single-family house, this is looking at the valuation of materials and labor only, not the land cost. The current building permit fee would be just over $1,500. The proposed building permit fee is about $1,100, so that's a 25% reduction. With a $2.5 million commercial building, there would be looking at a current building permit fee and plan review fee of just over $11,000. And the proposed building permit fee and plan review would be about $8,200. So that also is about a 25% reduction. So the caveat for this is that these are for building division permit and plan review fees only. Every project has additional permits, plan reviews, and system development fees from other departments that may be due at the time of permit issuance. So they're not included in this resolution. All that to say that on a new construction project, you're not going to see a 25% reduction overall for all the fees that are due at the time the permit's issued, but for that line item of the building permit itself, that's where that 25% reduction will happen. So I just wanted to show a comparison between other major cities in Montana and how Billings stacks up with those permit costs. So as you can see, Billings is significantly less when we look at Bozeman, Great Falls, and Missoula in terms of what our permit fees are compared to their permit fees for those same 2 example projects. So the next steps, I didn't update this slide, but this is us tonight at the public hearing and adoption. And then if adopted tonight, we are still looking at as soon as next week to implement the new fees with the implementation of our new permitting software. And then again, we would be looking at this over the next 10 to 12 months and next budget cycle, determining if these fee reductions are enough, if they need to be even more, or if we need to sort of stabilize our revenues over the next couple of years. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for our presenter? Oh, you did a great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, that moves us to a public hearing on this issue. This issue alone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak if you'd like to. If you want to speak on this issue, please come forward and state your name and where you live.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Kim Welsenbach. I'm here representing the members of the Home Builders Association of Billings today. And first, I just want to say thank you. Scott, Councilman Aspletter, a while ago when the street lights went in, and we're usually here actually on opposite sides of this. So this is really a great positive thing. And I commend the city staff as well. But I'd like to say that I know that they've been working hard and diligently to try to come up with something since the streetlights went in that did cost builders a lot more. And they said that they were going to come up with some things to offset it, and they have. I also serve as vice chair on the interim planning commission for land use planning. And it's been wonderful working with the folks there. I really feel like there's more progress in the last year than there probably has been in the last 10 between our two sides of the coin. And I appreciate that all that they're doing, and I look forward to working further. And if you need any help, I'm always pro reducing fees. So any help that I can be. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Dan Brooks with the Billings Chamber at 815 South 27th Street. Ditto. I don't know what else I could add that Kim didn't, but do just want to reiterate on behalf of the Billings Chamber of Commerce a thank you to city staff for looking at these efficiencies, finding some ways to streamline the process and bring that before you tonight. Thank you also to City Council for keeping for the continuation of impressing upon the need for finding a more streamlined process for reducing these fees so that we can get more businesses and more housing built here in Billings. So we encourage you to pass the resolution tonight, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any further comment?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Elizabeth Shoemaker. Government Affairs for the Home Builders Association, and also a real estate broker here in town for White Lotus Realty. Just here to add more icing on the cake for you guys. Just wanted to express appreciation for this initiative to help reduce some of the building fees. That is a conversation that has been ongoing, as some of you are aware. And I appreciate Jennifer for all of her work on that as well. As a real estate professional, every little bit counts towards affordability for our first-time home buyers, and especially those that are buying, at the median house price, which is right around $380 right now, which that can be a lot for some people. So it helps the builders to create properties that those people can afford. So again, I just wanted to express my appreciation, and yay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jeff Kettleson, Kettelsen. I live in the 5th ward of our city. The reason why I'm speaking now is concerning the proposed fees reduction. I really don't understand why we're even talking about this. Montana State Law MCA 50-60-106 allows our city to have 30% over and above our current budget. Right now we're at 20%, so we're not even up at the upper limit. So I start to think about, why are we doing this? And it's always about following the money. We hear about from the home builders, we hear from the developers, we hear about all the companies that will tremendously benefit from this. The problem gets to be is if we look at our previous history, years 23 through 25, our fees have not covered our expenses. The only reason why we have an excess right now is because we're building a hospital. The hospital pumped lots of money into the pot. So what we're doing tonight is we're chewing up a cushion that protects us, the residents, a cushion that this proposal will take residents' money and push it over to these people out here. They're good people, but they're corporations. They don't vote for you. So I know that the cake is baked, and I know the ingredients are in, and I know that everybody wants to sit up there and say, hey, we did a great job. We're going to reduce your fees. But really, you're not. So if you gotta be beholden to them, that's okay. Make that deal. But at least, please, don't beat your chest and say we did a great thing for the residents. Because after they chew up this money, you're going to come back at us again. It's already said. And you're going to raise our fees again. So I'm asking you tonight, the narrative that you want to give or the narrative that you should give. Stand up for the residents this time. Don't stand up for the corporations. My name is Jeff Kettleson. Very nice to meet you.
Any further public comment regarding this issue? Seeing none, I'll close this period of our hearing and ask for a motion regarding the resolution. Councilmember Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. Having conducted a public hearing, considered written and spoken public testimony, I move to approve a resolution setting building, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, and fire system permit fees as recommended by staff.
Thank you. A second, Councilmember Aspenleiter. Okay. Is there any discussion regarding this? Councilmember Shaw.
Thank you. I did just want to respond to the public comment, so there's not a misperception out there. These fees are paid for by people who are building new projects, expanding their house, doing things like that. They're not paid for by the general public, so there is no way for this to come back on our local individual residents. I think it's a worthwhile concern, but I just wanted to let you know I heard it. And that's the answer I would give, is that in a year or 2 years, if the case is that the budget is underwater, Jessica will come back and stand before us and say, we need to increase these fees, and it will be the same people that pay them, not the general public. So just so the public is aware of that.
Thank you. Councilmember Aspenleiter.
Yeah, I would echo what Councilwoman Shaw just said and expand that. Like I'm really proud of the staff for leaning into this. It's something council asked about last budget session, and the staff latched onto it and really took it across the line and made this happen with really little other than a suggestion from council that we need to look at this and come up with it. The reduction was much more than I ever anticipated, but I think it shows you that this council and the city staff are committed to making this the best place in Montana to do business. We want to have the best permitting system. We want to have the most streamlined process, and we want to make it the most affordable to do business in our community, to encourage economic development and continued investment in this city. That's the only way that we generate revenue, is by people investing, building, both residentially and commercially. And we have to be competitive as a city. This is a way for us to be competitive. We made a promise, I made a promise when we adopted the streetlights to the home builders that we would follow through and find a way to make this up and to reduce it. And the staff did it. And I'm proud of our staff for leaning into this. I think it's a great success for the community. Now, what I would say is we're not done. This isn't a one-shot victory. I think we still have work to do. There are still ways that we can improve and make Billings even more competitive in the marketplace in Montana. And we still have to be committed to doing that, both from the staff's perspective and from the private sector's perspective. So this is the first step in a lot of steps in my mind. It's not the final step. So really appreciative to everybody leaning into this. I look forward to the next things that we're going to try to work on. We still have a lot of work with the home builders to try to figure out what we can do to continue this momentum. And I'm looking forward to that in the next year.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember O'Donnell.
Thank you. I wanted to second the comments of Councilmember Aspenleiter that this is certainly not the last thing that we do. I have made it known that what's very important to me is for the city to do a lot of infill, especially on the west end of vacant lands, instead of as an alternative to developments in the county and then annexing them to the city. I would like to say also that those of us who are new to the council are benefiting because we're at the right place at the right time. But I think kudos need to go to former council members also who were fostering a culture of fiscal responsibility, especially towards home builders. And I wanted to point out that they deserve a lot of the credit for this. Thank you.
Thank you. City Administrator Kukulski.
Briefly, Mayor and Council, I want to thank staff also, Jessica, Kevin, their team for their follow through. Appreciate that. Secondly, we heard you and we've received some emails with people asking, well, don't you have some budget deficits elsewhere? And now you're cutting your revenue. To be very clear, we cannot use building fee revenue for other city services. So very legitimate public question by the public, but one that is just not allowable. Building fees can only be spent in that space. So also heard you a week ago, press release is ready to go in the morning. It makes that point, as well as the point of the dollars. I think we're $350 some on the home and a couple thousand on the example given there. So will be accessible to the press. That press release will go out first thing in the morning, provided you pass this resolution tonight. And wanted to be clear for our citizens, we can't use the funds for other services, public safety or otherwise. So thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you. Seeing no hands raised, I guess we'll move to a vote. We have a motion by Councilmember Boyette and a second by Councilmember Aspenleiter. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. That's a unanimous vote. All right, item number 3 on the agenda.
Item number 3, public hearing and resolution approving and adopting FY 2026 budget amendments. Staff recommends approval.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Thank you. There it is. Okay.
Really looking forward to your flashy slideshow.
All right. Well, I have a lot of flashy slides this evening. Yeah, actually, I didn't put this together, so there's color on it today. But I'm Andy Zeller, Finance Director. I've had the pleasure of meeting you all, but I don't know if I've presented yet for you. So I have before you the FY26 budget amendments. And just for the benefit of new council members, the FY26 budget is what we're within currently. State law requires that we have a budget that we do not overspend, and there are occasions during the year where we'll bring budget amendments to you, this being one of them. This also went to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting, well, last week, 2 weeks. Yeah, about 12 days ago. And I'll get right into the budget amendments, of which there are 5. They pretty large in dollar amount, but don't be alarmed. The first one is for the historic tax credit transaction we entered into, and the new council members wouldn't probably have any familiarity with this, so I'll take a little bit longer here. But we entered into an agreement when remodeling this building to realize some historic tax credits. Being a governmental entity, we cannot realize them, but we can enter into an investment partnership, which we did with First Interstate Bank, where they buy the credits from us and realize them as a taxable entity. So the accounting for that was a little bit unclear at the time of budget process. We knew all along that we would realize about $5 to $5.5 million in credits net after everything got paid out. We weren't sure quite on the timing when that would occur, and also quite how we would handle that in our financials. We have received all of those tax credit payments this fiscal year. The gross amount was right around $6 million. The $12.8 million is, I won't bore you with the accounting, but it's essentially we got the $6.2 million deposited into one fund. We moved it from there to another fund, from there to our debt fund. It was all used to pay down debt. So the $12.8 million is just transferring it, the authority to transfer from one fund to another. And that's done because of the structure we set up with FIB, so to be more consistent with that. So that's actually not an outlay of cash. It's just moving from one fund to another. So that's what that budget authority is for. The Facilities and Public Safety Fund, as you're aware, we had some incinerator issues and expenses related to that, testing, cleanup, things like that. The $70,800 will establish a budget authority for spending those funds. Most of that came, well, I don't want to say most of it. It came from a combination of facilities funds we had set aside for the animal shelter, which were originally intended for future maintenance on that building, as well as some from animal control. Obviously, that was not planned for, nor was it budgeted, but there are some reserves available to cover those expenses. We're asking for the authority to use the reserves to cover those expenses. The next one, City Hall Debt Fund, is related to the tax credits. You may notice that it is substantially smaller than the $12 million we transferred through multiple times. We had come at the first tranche to council and asked for some budget authority to use some of those tax credits to pay down debt. We were guessing how much we would get. We ended up netting about $5.2 million in total after paying the consultants and FIB and all of that stuff. So we are requesting an additional $1.2 million, which wasn't budgeted the last time we came. That'll complete the historic tax credit transactions. So that would be additional payment on that. The next one, Capital Replacement Fund. This was related to the Axon software contract you approved. I know police was at a work session. I think that was before the new year, to present to council about that. Transitioning from some ownership of body cams, tasers, et cetera, moving to a lease structure. Here again, we had funds set aside for future replacement of those items, as was discussed at that meeting and in the contract approval, using some of those funds to purchase the software, the equipment, and begin that lease structure with Axon. So again, wasn't budgeted for FY26. That will come from reserves, asking for authority to do so. And then finally, City Hall Construction Fund. This one, we originally entered into a contract with Motorola to replace the radio systems as part of our ARPA program. That project took a long time, and at one point we thought we were completed with it. We took those funds and said, hey, looks like these are left over, use them towards City Hall. Motorola informed us months later, no, that project's not done. So we're seeking authority to reestablish that those funds back in that fund to complete that contract, and that would finish that out. Again, there's sufficient fund balance or revenues to cover all of these budget amendments. And I would remind you it's a public hearing and ask for approval.
Thank you. Any questions for our presenter? None? Okay, thank you. We'll move to a public hearing on this item. Same rules exist. You have 3 minutes to speak. Please sign in. If you wish to talk, come up to the front. Tell us who you are and where you live. Any public comment on this item? All right, well, I'm going to close the public hearing portion of this and ask for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, having conducted a public hearing, consider written and spoken testimony, I move to approve resolution approving and adopting FY26 budget amendments as recommended by staff.
Thank you. Any second? Councilmember Boyette. Any discussion regarding the motion? Councilmember Pittman.
Just have a question about the last item with Motorola. Can you give us a little more explanation as to what happened there?
Absolutely. So originally we had ARPA funds, and I'll say that Motorola seemed to be quite slow at invoicing us. We had emailed them and said, hey, this project looks like it's done. You haven't invoiced us in probably 6 to 8 months. The PO originally was over $10 million. So but there were some unknowns whether or not we would get 35 of these things or 74 of those things. So I had asked if we were complete at that point, and they said, no, there's no outstanding invoices. They said, great. And we had that 695 remaining. So we moved that out of there and then moved it into intending to pay down debt on City Hall. That was probably in March of last year. And then in October, they informed us that, oh, no, that wasn't outstanding at that point in time, but here now is $500,000 in invoices. So it was, maybe to put it most graciously, miscommunication, perhaps, by city staff and Motorola. But this would essentially take it out from that debt service fund, putting it back there where it originally would have been prior to that.
Councilmember Boyette.
So Andy, at some point down the future, can you give us a detail of what's left on the debt on this building for the council?
I can email you an exact number tomorrow. I want to say it's between $1.5 and $2 million total. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Any other questions? Discussion regarding the motion? All right, then we will move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. 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 All those opposed, please say nay. Nay. That's another unanimous vote. All right. We will move now to the public comment portion on non-agenda items.
Good evening, council members and mayor. My name is Jeff Kettleson, Kettelsen. I live in the 5th Ward. The reason why I come before you tonight is I remember a couple of work meetings ago, our city administrator, Mr. Koklinski, put a great educational piece together about how good government works. And I specifically remember the gentleman who spoke, he was speaking about the time allotted for public comment. And his comment at that time was, 1 minute is generally not considered enough, but 3 minutes is considered okay. So that's the reason why we have 3 minutes. And I do agree that 3 minutes is okay. The reason why I come before you tonight is because I recently attended a board meeting at the library. And I think that the library administrator does a great job. And I also think that the parliamentarian does an okay job. But what they don't do is they don't allow 3 minutes for public comment. Other boards and commissions here do allow 3 minutes. So the reason why I'm coming before you tonight is if you could please have a standard of 3 minutes and let the library know that that's what it should be. The other thing that happened at that meeting was that I didn't think was correct was, you know, Robert's Rules of Orders talks about yielding your time to a speaker. There was a person there that wanted to presented a proposal that I didn't agree with, and I spoke against it. But he had a lot of people there, and it should have been, you know, if you got 10 people, it should be a minute, it's 10 people. It should be 10 people. It should be 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. He didn't get his time. Now, I didn't support his proposal, but, you know, liberty and justice for all requires me to point that out. So the only thing I'm asking is if we can, you know, make it fair across the boards, let the library know it's 3 minutes, and maybe work on the parliamentary stuff. Anyways, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment tonight? Thank you. Please state your name and where you live, and you'll have your 3 minutes.
My name is Tony Parrish. I live in Billings, Montana. I am a member of the Breakfast Exchange Club in Billings. For those of you that don't know what the Breakfast Exchange Club is, we're a national organization, and we raise money for the community for prevention of child abuse, Americanism projects, community and youth projects. And so what I'm presenting before you is an initiative. We're going to conduct 2 events for America 250 and Montana 250 in Billings this year. Over the 4th of July, we are going to have a field of 1,000 flags at Par 3 Golf Course. We have done that in the past, not for several years. So we are doing that. And then over 9/11, we are also going to have another 1,000 flags out at the College of Technologies. For anybody that's been out there, you have seen part of the Twin Towers that's out on display. And so we have had healing fields out there before for that reason. And so in partnering, the National Exchange Club has a partnership with America 250 right now. And so we have been tasked with trying to make this as big an event as we possibly can. So I'm just basically letting the council and the city know what's going on. And we would love any kind of participation that's allowed, whether it's speaking engagements or social media or whatever. And that's pretty much what I have to say.
Thank you. Any other public comment for tonight?
Good evening. My name is Andreas. I live in Ward 4. I'm here with the Billings Alliance for Immigrants' Rights, and I'm here because the people of Billings want action. We don't want to sit idly by while ICE terror runs rampant through our country. We don't want to have to react to ICE terror in our community. We want assurance that you will not allow ICE terror in Billings. The people of Billings know ICE does not make our community safer. They murder and kidnap wherever they go, all while wearing masks to hide themselves from the public. We have seen the costs that ICE has on other communities. They murdered Renee Good and Alex Preddy. They kidnapped 5-year-old Liam Ramos on his way home from school and then used him as bait to kidnap his father as well. ICE caused the car chase that would lead to the death of special education teacher Linda Davis. There are many other examples. All this to say, we want a safe community where our neighbors are not being kidnapped by masked thugs. We want a community that has assurance that ICE agents will not murder or brutalize you for protesting, just like they've done in Minnesota and countrywide. It has become abundantly clear that also ICE is only targeting people based off of race, not based on any other metric. Clearly, they aren't arresting criminals, as only 5% of ICE detainees have a violent criminal conviction. This statistic comes from the Cato Institute. The illegal deportation and murder campaigns have been an absolute disaster for every person in this country who cares about civil liberties. This is why your constituents have looked at the chaos and terror that ICE is bringing nationwide and is asking you to do something. We ask that you pass a resolution similar to Helena that instructs Billings PD to not enter a 287G agreement, Despite the unsubstantiated attacks that Greg Gianforte has leveled, this is something that is absolutely in your power to do and that you must do. This would also serve the purpose of showing Gianforte that Helena is not alone and that Montana will not put up with ICE terror. We also ask that you direct Billings Police Department to not stop, investigate, detain, or arrest anyone based on the suspicion of their immigration status or violating immigration law. As a part of this resolution, Billings Police Department must request that federal law enforcement remove any facial coverings and identify themselves during operations in Billings. We also demand that the City of Billings not disclose a person's place of birth, immigration status, or national origin, except when required to by law or upon a valid court order. As a part of that resolution, we demand that the Billings City Council deny any contracts for land use to ICE. Any current agreements between the City of Billings and federal law enforcement agencies should be investigated for land use violations. Your constituents have shown clearly that they do not want ICE in their community. They have done this through many well-attended protests and by looking at national trends, where almost 2/3 of Americans think that ICE has gone too far. The time for action is now. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lane Dorsey. I am also with the Billings Alliance for Immigrant Rights. I live in Ward 5. What we're seeing from the Gianforte administration is blatant political repression. The people of Helena came out, voiced their concerns in a democratic process, and the city of Helena passed a resolution to keep the city safe, which, if you represent the city of Billings, you should be looking to do too, right? You should be looking to keep the city of Billings safe. And your silence on the matter says otherwise, that you're okay with ICE coming into the city and that you're okay with ICE terror raining down on community members, right? Your silence speaks volumes, right? And Gianforte is just completely complicit in the Trump agenda. Every single thing that he does is in compliance with Trump and his racist agenda against immigrants. It is imperative that Billings City Council passes some sort of resolution, like my friend Andreas just mentioned, with these stipulations in it. That Billings PD does not enter a 287G agreement. We do not want our police collaborating or cooperating with ICE in any capacity, kidnapping our neighbors and killing people in the streets, as we've seen in Minneapolis and in Savannah, Georgia, and all around the country. And it's really important that the city of Billings does this not only to stand up for members of our community, but to also show that Gianforte's racist agenda will not be tolerated, right? Because that's exactly what he's doing. This administration, Gianforte's administration, passed a bill that actually allows racial profiling of immigrants, that you can ask somebody what their immigration status is and have them reported to federal immigration agencies so that they can be arrested, right? Based on their immigration status alone, not on any sort of criminal activity or anything like that. We don't want that here in Billings. We don't want racial profiling. We don't want ICE terror. You need to do something. Or else they're pushing for over $100 billion more in ICE funding at the federal government level right now. So this ICE terror is not going to stop in Minneapolis. It's not going to stop in Los Angeles, in Atlanta, in Chicago, in Portland. It's going to come here. And when it does come here, you will hear from the people of Billings. Our demands will be met because they will come, the people of Billings will come knocking, demanding answers and demanding action.
Hello, I'm Melinda Nielsen, and I'm actually in the county. Oh, sorry, closer. 1406 Stallion Route. I used to live on Avenue F, I'm sorry, nervous. I had 34 years in as a public servant in the post office. And in those years, we had Mark Morse as our postal inspector. And Mark Morse enjoyed walking around with his gun in his holster and intimidating us. And that's the same county commissioner that decided that it would be a great opportunity for us to just let Trump's ICE people and Trump's little minions come and use our county property. How disgusting has this country become? I grew up, I went to school mainly in Plentywood. If anybody has heard about Plentywood, the very northeastern part of the county. And a young man I met tonight, he knows about that county. It used to be a communist county. It has there's a book by a gal that was a little younger than me, Verlaine Stoner, called The Red Corner. And we have had a lot of immigrants up there, just as well as everybody else in this country did. And at the time, that was a lot of farmers, and they were going between depressions, and that's just what we had set up there. Currently, we have people that are in Freud that come from out of this country but have lived in Freud. Roberto Orozco Ramirez, for 10 years, has 4 children that were born in this country. And he had done nothing illegal. He has no record at the courthouse in Roosevelt County. I'm thinking that's Culbertson. I'm getting maybe mixed up. But his children, it's been in the paper, Montana Free Press. Thank God there's a press, and thank God they're free still, because we have no information coming in except we get over the internet. And anyway, he had those 4 boys, and they were harassed at home. 2 of the boys were at the border and were detained, and let's see if I can remember their names. They were in Scobie. They were took bad notes. Someplace else up in there. And that's where I grew up. I had both borders. I had the Canadian border and the North Dakota border. And we always welcomed other people. And it's just as bad as Billings. You would have no idea if somebody was born here or not, if they just had a darker complexion. My mother was an indigenous American. And when she was living up in there.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry, your time's run.
She would have been pounced on as well.
Kevin Nelson, 4235 Bruce Avenue. So that's your last work session. It used to be, this goes back to the community center where you used to have your work sessions. None of you were around, but so you used to have to make your public comment at the beginning of the work session, only anticipating what someone might say because of your opportunity you only had at the beginning of the meeting. Now that's what you're back to. So now you're back with your old work session rules that you have to make public comment before anybody else speaks. For the ones that came back, the old council members, you had public comment after every work session item. There was always a public comment period. How is anybody going to be effective in their participation and their right to participate when you have to anticipate what the comments are going to be before you hear it? I mean, last week you complained about the zoning that, who's going to show up? Well, no one could spoke after it was done because they had to anticipate what was going to get said before anything got said at the beginning of the meeting. And according to Mr. Aspenlighter, 7:30 is his bedtime, so he's not going to be too happy. And does he remember what anybody said at 5:30? Probably not. So you need to go back to your old rules and to allow the people to participate effectively. The other thing is we always had to say our name and our address, not so-and-so Ward 4. Really? We really need to know where they're from. We don't really care what they say, but we really need to know where they're from, who they represent. If you go to Helena, you say your name, you spell your name, You say what you're there for, so everyone knows who you are. Then, I got a minute. 1996, President Clinton signed the Immigration Act. Every president since then has had the same laws available to him. President Bush, President Obama, President Trump, President Biden. President Obama deported 3 to 4 million under his term. Currently, President Trump has deported 700,000. Nobody showed up with President Obama's throwing out 3 to 4 million. Nobody. So, just for context, the laws haven't changed. It's just, he just chooses to enforce them. Or some may have not, but President Obama did enforce them, 3 to 4 million. But there wasn't one person ever stood up because I was at these meetings. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Seeing none, I'm going to close this portion of the meeting and move on to council initiatives. Are there any council initiatives? Councilman Kennedy. You got it right that time.
Mayor, Council, I just want to give you a heads up on an initiative I will bring to the board meeting in 2 weeks. The initiative is because we've had this problem with streetlights on the south side and that the people are paying for the bill for the streetlights. I will be bringing an initiative on the streetlights that if they are not working and Northwest Energy is waiting for a back order on parts, which they have been saying for probably 6 months, a year, year and a half, that we work on, that we do not pay them for the charges for the residents until the lights are working. So I will bring that back in 2 weeks so we can finally put to rest the folks that keep on coming in and are tired of paying the light bill when the lights aren't working. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else regarding initiatives? Well, that moves us to the adjournment portion of our meeting. We are adjourned.